Your sports leader, WOHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, and WCSL Cherryville Gastonia.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Shock Joxx here on KTCBroadcasting.com. Today we are, in fact, live on YouTube. We will probably be on YouTube for the rest of the week, and then back on Facebook hopefully next week.
Maybe not. We'll see how this goes.
Maybe not.
We may be on Twitch. We may be on Rumble.
It just depends.
We may do OnlyFans.com.
I know. God, who knows? Who knows?
Well, good afternoon, everybody, live here on the Shock Joxx Sports Podcast by KTC. Thanks for tuning in. The reason we're on YouTube, and we've been on YouTube before. I think it was last one was episode 80-something, Hunter. So it's been about 20 episodes, it seems like, that we've done on Facebook. We've been jumping back and forth trying to see what works best for everybody. And in the end, Hunter, YouTube may be better for us, actually, just because of the broad appeal. But we was trying to get our local folks in tune on the Facebook. But we'll see. But what happened was, Hunter, and so Saturday night, folks, you go back and watch. We had a live watch party of Tyson Jones fight. And we'll see what your opinion of what happened is and what I think what happened. So we started streaming. I hit the button in there. I got up and I walked in here, and we had just turned the TV. Hunter, we were on hold for 25 minutes with the cable company before they told us that we didn't have the right equipment. So because upstreaming and downstreaming the same line, I had to then run a 50-foot wire from the office down there halfway to a laptop. And then run another 50-foot HDMI wire in here to watch in here, so I wasn't running on the same line. So that was the first problems that we had. So once we got that finally up and going, and I'm talking, you know how we do broadcasting here, because you just walked in at 157,
right?
we were ready for that one about that time too. So the Nate Robinson Jake Paul fight was getting going, but right when we started. We had the TV on.
How about that fight?
Well, I'm gonna
get funny to me.
We'll get to that in a minute. So, Hunter, basically, I hit play. I came in here. I did an introduction.
Yeah.
And said, "All right, guys, you start talking basically about Tyson and what he made. You guys saw him when you were little and stuff. I'm gonna go down the hall." So I went down the hall, got to my office, clicked play. It said 60 viewers. I was like, hell yeah.
There you go.
Walked back down the hall, sat down, and I looked up and it said, doop, you're done. And I'm going to give you I'm going to bring up the page. And here's what's bad about it is first of all, I still don't know the exact reason.
Right.
I
assume
the reason was the TV was on and they could hear it in the background.
Yeah.
We titled the video Watch Party Tyson Jones.
Right.
But I don't think that's illegal.
No.
Or break. It said the DMCA rules. So I'm gonna pull it up here, Hunter. Here's my this is my thing. We've removed or disabled access to the following content that you post on Facebook because a third party reported that the content infringes or otherwise violates their rights. You are now blocked from posting on Facebook for 3 days. So I can't even go on and say, "Hey guys, we just got kicked off. We're on YouTube."
Right.
Luckily, we have like 4 other people logged into Facebook in this building that work here.
Yeah.
That I could just get on and post the links on there.
Right.
But that's what there's one thing, saying, "Hey, this video's banned."
Mm-hmm.
It's another thing to completely kick us off.
Right.
Completely. And then they banned KTC's page from broadcasting until December 5th. So we can't go live on that page till December 5th. I can't even log. Well, I can't even go in. I can't even look at Hunter's page. I can't share, do anything.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
It's complete shutdown.
And what it probably is, if it is the fact that there was music playing in the background, is DMCA law.
It says DMCA law.
It does it? Okay, it's the dumb DMCA law,
right?
Which is getting everybody and their brother. That's exactly what it is. There is no fair use anymore. Even if it's because what you're supposed to be able to do is at least use, and it's not, you weren't even playing a full song. You didn't even play a song. It was in the background.
We weren't even pumping the music in.
It wasn't even.
And honestly, Hunter, when I got down there, I did say in my head, "That's probably a little too loud." Not thinking that. Just
right.
I'm going to go down and turn it down.
But usually, what it is, because even in radio law, like even when we do commercials and stuff, we can at least use 15 to 30 seconds of a song, and then it's
a small clip.
Yeah, it's a small clip.
So TikTok's. The reason they got their stuff is they have paid the music companies for 15. There's like a 15-second rule is what you were talking about. So that's how they're getting by with it.
But then you'll see these YouTube channels, the React channels, where they'll play like 15 to 30 seconds of a song, and then someone will just react on it.
And say something.
And they don't ban that, and it's because the way you're supposed to. It's your own content because you're talking over it at the same time. And see, that's why to me, it's dumb that they would have even done that to us in general to begin with, because we're talking over it. Like, it's our content. That we own this content that we're creating. It just so happens that Snoop Dogg wanted to get up here and drop a few bars before everything started.
I think the best thing for us and everybody would have been like, you got kicked off for this reason, and then allow me to retry. Because Hunter, they kicked me off within a minute or two. It's not like they couldn't have kicked me off again.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Because then I could come back, muted it, and just started it back up, and then they didn't. So we're guessing it was because it wasn't Snoop. It was whoever's before Jake Paul and Nate Robinson.
Well, whoever that was. Well, regardless, YouTube's this way now. Twitch is this way now. Twitch has actually made it now to where you have to delete, because Twitch, it archives if you're not a partner. If you're a partner with Twitch, it archives for like 60 days. If you're not a partner, it archives for at least 14 days, your most recent broadcast. And they would have to go back. People that had like hours upon hours of content would have to go back and delete them. And just in case there was anything that would have been DMCA caught, because they only got 3 strikes and their whole channel was banned.
Well, here's another thing about it too, as well, is that we're not even monetized.
No.
So it's not like we were able to get any money from whatever was going on.
No.
So there's nothing that so Facebook is Hunter. We've had almost the same number of followers on Facebook in the last 5 years. Like, we haven't gained anything.
Right.
So Facebook is not only throttling small businesses because they want you to pay
for advertisements
to
promote you.
Basically, all your page used to be a way, if your followers liked you, you could promote to your followers and not have any problems. Well, Facebook figured out you're basically getting free advertising and now charge you to even post your own followers. That is how
Instagram is, because I would like to every now and then on my story be able to embed the link for people to find in my story, but I was reading on the internet, they only do that if you're considered a business page. So I couldn't just promote myself because I'm not a business page.
Yeah, they want everything going through them. So they've throttled. So not only is Facebook throttling small businesses and keeping them down, it's also pushing against a lot of free speech. And so as a radio station who has rights to music, to actually, we can stream the songs on the radio, but not through Facebook or YouTube or anything like that. So we can stream our songs all day, but we can't play a 5-second clip or something of something that's just, I don't know, it's aggravating for us, especially when you see, people, like I saw a guy on Facebook one day, he streamed Hunter at least 10 minutes sitting on the beach listening to a radio station, which obviously was playing music.
Right.
And what's the difference what he was doing and then what we had on going on in the background?
I don't know.
It's so hard for us to get by / compete in this.
Listen,
in this
there
world, and
needs
they
to
do
be
things like this. That
there needs to be a group somewhere, somehow, some way of lawyers. I don't know who wants to put this group together, but at some point they have to fight back a little bit on these copyright laws. Like, I understand it's your content. Right. But to the extreme that some of these copyright laws go, it's like there can be no creativity, because it's like when you do this, sure, me and you can talk like this, but it would be nice to have some sort of intro music, and something that everybody knows, that catches their ear.
We have access to pretty much every song ever made.
As a radio station,
and we can't, use it on our video shows. Like we could be coming in here to whatever we want, Rolling Stones, Michael Jackson,
exactly, but we can't.
Linkin Park, they're oldies now, Hunter. It's been 20-some years.
Yeah, it's over 20 years. Yeah,
God, isn't that awful?
They formed as a group the same year I was born. So
I was talking to Chris the other day.
old.
I was like, rock and roll in general is nothing but oldies now. Like now, when you listen to like I was listening to a radio station the other day that had played new music when I was in high school, and now it's playing the same music, and I'm just like, it's turned into straight oldie. There is no new. It was like, well, basically, maybe rock and roll died. Maybe that's why.
I don't know what rock and roll is now anymore.
Anyway, we got a big show today. We want to complain a little bit about what happened, and we're going to get into the fight. And Tyson Jones, Nate. Gets knocked out. How about the wreck? Did you see the Formula One wreck?
Yeah, I don't know how he got out, but he did.
Amazing. We're going to talk about that. NFL news and notes, NCAA rankings. I heard Tom bitching and whining Saturday. Major League, minor league update. Vanderbilt kicker. I've got Corona Broncos. And a question I have for Hunter in a little bit about how Trevor Lawrence is going to look with a star on his helmet next year.
That's not happening.
Hunter.
That's not happening.
Hunter, get ready for it.
It's not happening.
Your worst nightmare is going to come true.
It's not happening.
Yeah, it is.
No.
I'm going to tell you why in just a little bit. But first, let's start with Nate.
Nate. Good God.
You've got to go back and watch our video of our little watch party of the Nate Robinson part. You don't have to go back and watch, listen to Tyson and stuff like that. But if you'll go back and listen and watch us talking about the Nate Robinson part, it's freaking hilarious.
Right.
Nelson's here and Zach's here, and Will hadn't showed up yet. Will showed up. Will walked in like right after they scraped him off the mat. So what happened was is Nate obviously had no idea what he's doing.
No, he has. Did you see how he was throwing punches? He had no idea what he was doing.
He had no idea what he's doing as far as boxing. And he was like bum rushing him. It almost looked like he was trying to MMA wrap him up. And I don't know what his plan was after that.
Like, what did they do? Just say, whoever wants to fight Jake Paul, just come in here?
I don't know.
And Nate Robinson was like, fuck it, I'll do it.
But I'm sitting here, Hunter, and I don't even know this other dude really at all.
Jake Paul?
Right. I just know he's a YouTuber. So I'm sitting there, I was like, shit.
I will say this for Jake Paul. At least this is not his first boxing bout. And he, actually trains outside
right,
of
he
this.
seemed to know more what he was doing than Nate did.
Because I had watched him fight.
Nate had no clue.
I had watched Jake Paul fight in a YouTuber versus YouTuber fight that they did one time, which for some reason made a shit ton of money. And then I saw his older brother Logan fight at the same time. And they're both athletic. You can tell that they're both athletic.
A real fighter would whip their ass.
Oh, no, 100%. When Jake Paul came out and said later that he wanted to fight Conor McGregor and somebody else, I was like, okay, I'll pay to watch this now.
Well, my favorite tweeter had a comment about that fight.
Oh, God.
So what's the guy's name?
Who?
The guy that...
The Paul?
Okay,
Jake
does he
Paul?
have a brother?
Yeah, he has an older brother, Logan Paul.
Okay, so Jose Canseco tweets. He's in it.
Yeah.
So he's got a twin brother.
Uh-huh.
Ozzy Canseco. He actually was supposed to fight in a celebrity fight a few years ago, and he sent Ozzy in his place, and they caught him.
Oh, man.
But he tweeted out that him and his brother want a piece of the Logan brothers. He said they won't whip them like they did little Nate.
Listen,
I love Jose Canseco, man.
it's so fun.
He's just a gold.
You could tell, though, Nate had no idea what the hell he was doing. He didn't.
Did you
And
watch
that,
it?
That was your first.
Or have you seen any highlights?
I just saw highlights. I just saw highlights. And
Okay.
so what I saw from Nate was 100%. He had no idea what he was doing. At least Jake Paul was at least a little bit informed about at least, fighting and how to jab and how to throw the punches correctly and not just look like you're doing straight up hook shots the whole time.
Right.
Twitter was wild
It
after
was,
that happened.
and we knew it was. We knew it would be. We laughed our asses off. So some of the comments on that fight was, "What the hell is Nate doing?"
Mm-hmm.
Zach looked down the first time. He went down 3 times. First time, they got a round break between them. First time he went down, we just thought he got tripped up trying to not knowing what he's doing.
Right.
The second time he ducked his head, Paul hit him in the head and pushed him down. And it looked like he just shoved him like he didn't want to mess with him again. It looked like he just shoved him down. Well, the third time he got up there in that second round, and they showed a close-up of his face. And I said, God almighty, he looks high as fuck. Because when you looked at it, you couldn't even see the white in his eyes.
Right.
And I'm like, we were just wondering, what's going on? Like, is he even there? Like, you could tell right before that last one he got laid out.
Yeah.
And it was almost like we thought the ref should have stopped it before that. We even
Probably.
we mentioned that. And the second time he went down and he just laid there. The second time he even laid there the second time, and it was almost like, to me, Hunter, because this was an exhibition, it wasn't a real match. The ref was like, "Do you really want to go?" And he said, "Yeah," and he just let him.
Right.
As opposed to, man, I think in a real fight they would have stopped it. He looked out when they.
I think that's what I had the biggest problem with the whole fight series as a whole. I know it was semi supposed to be for charity, at least the Tyson and Roy fight, the money. But the fact that you had a contact sport like boxing and decided to make it an exhibition match. How you gonna tell that you can't do that?
No.
You can't do that. It's for the viewer wise. You
And
just
not
are
have
sitting there and you're
headgear.
like, not have headgear
if
or
that's
anything
what you're
protective.
doing, put the headgear on.
Like,
and that's
come on
what
now.
That's cool.
Because Nate still got his ass knocked out.
Right. And bad. And what it was, and I thought the second time when he hit, his face hit the mat.
Oh, he hit hard.
And then the third time he hit and everybody's laughing at the third one or looking at the third one, but I honestly thought he was out on the second one when he hit. Because when he pushed him down, his face hit first.
Yeah.
One of our announcers a long time ago fell at one of these broadcasts, and his face hit the ground first, and it almost, I think it knocked a tooth out in his bloody nose, and you just hitting the ground is not a good thing.
No.
And Nate went down hard on his face, and of course the memes and the jokes and everything have just been insane since. It was going. But right before he got hit, Hunter, you go back and watch the video when you get a chance. I go, well, Nate's a college football player, and surely to God, he's not going to get his ass whipped by this YouTuber. And then it wasn't like 4 seconds later. There he goes.
Yeah. I know.
And Chris turns and goes, well, I guess Logan Paul's 2-0.
Listen. The Paul brothers, both the Paul brothers, because they've made a lot of money throughout their years being YouTubers.
What do they talk about on YouTube?
No. They got their start just being stupid.
So what do you mean?
First of all, the Logan Paul got big, the oldest one, because, or no, which one was older? It's either Logan or Jake. Regardless, they got big.
Were they on The Bachelor?
No, they got big because of Vine.
Okay.
When Vine was a thing, the 6 seconds, and then what was they were making money by doing ads for people.
Well, that was the first TikTok.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly what it is. The first.
That was
TikTok.
American TikTok.
Yeah, Vine was great.
Well, Nate's Huskies made the poll this week.
They did. I will say this: And then of course making all their money, and they eventually made enough money to where they basically made their own production company, Maverick Production. So they have a bunch of money. So it does not surprise me that he probably is able, just in his free time, if that's what he wants to do, is just get in a boxing ring or get in somewhere and practice.
Once I get 2 commas in my bank account, the last thing I'm doing is signing up for people to punch me in the face.
Well, unless that's just what he wants to do. But you got to remember though too, that makes him just as much money as him doing anything else.
I'm sure.
Because
boxing money is stupid.
So it is stupid. It's lucrative because they've gotten to the point now to where in boxing, we know about the Mayweathers when they fight and the Tyson and Furies when they fight. But other than that, nobody really knows anybody else in the game that fights. But then you get word of, there's going to be a pay-per-view fight, or there's going to be a subscription-based YouTube fight between 2 YouTubers that have, I don't know, a couple 2 to 3 million followers each.
How about we get LaMelo in there?
Listen, anybody that's got a couple million followers, they're gonna draw a crowd. And so you can think about what I'm talking about when I say, and then when the media companies catch whiff of, this guy's got 4 million followers on his Instagram, this guy's got 10 million, they're wanting to fight, that's revenue right here for us to make. So yeah, let's put the fight together on HBO. So you're going to see more of these kind of fights going forward. So when he said at the end, or whenever he said it, the fact he would like to fight Conor McGregor, I'd be like, if I was McGregor, I'd be like, okay,
yeah,
okay, I'll do it. We'll both get a payday, but
boxing's different than MMA too.
It is. It is.
You have so much protection in the boxing ring that you don't. In
but
MMA.
even then, the professional fighter in McGregor in MMA did make the transition, and I thought actually held up pretty well against Mayweather for a few rounds. So, Paul, you want to balk up that tree? Go ahead. I'm not going to tell you not to. But
the thing about McGregor is, in the Mayweather thing, is one, Mayweather don't hit that hard or that often. He don't try to knock you out really. And
he
if
tries
you can
outlast you.
If you can take a punch and you're in good shape, you can probably just stand in there for. Now he's going to outpoint you, but again, you're going to try to. And so let's talk Tyson and Roy.
Yeah.
Roy Jones. For those, I know he's 57 years old, and you've probably never seen him fight, or I don't know if you have. He's a bigger Floyd Mayweather. Is the best way to describe it. And maybe people disagree or not agree. And what I mean by that, he's always moving. He's bobbing and weaving, dodging.
He's a defensive fighter.
He threw a couple punches without even looking, Hunter. He throws he'll turn his head and just it's like like a cartoon.
Remember, he fights like a chicken.
He does, and that's what he said. He did. Roy Jones said he learned how to fight from watching the roosters in his backyard, and he did that. And what I was concerned with Roy doing that is that at that age you might accidentally lean in. If once he leans one way, your body can only come back to a certain spot. And I was like, he's gonna lean into one of these Tyson hooks. So Roy's strategy was the Evander Holyfield strategy. Hold him every time he gets near you. It was insane, Hunter. Like every time Tyson got one punch landed on any part of Roy or whatever, Roy grabbed him. Like he grabbed his left arm. That's his power arm, his hook. And he would grab that left arm and he held on for dear life until the ref broke him up. I would say, I ain't gonna say half the fight, but a third maybe of it, or at least a quarter of it, was spent with Roy trying to make sure that Tyson didn't get any clean shots on him.
When I watched some of the highlights of them at least landing punches, it didn't. I don't want to put it this way, but it looked like Tyson kind of was holding back a little bit too.
Okay, so we don't think they were. We think they had
an agreement
that they wouldn't do head combos.
Okay,
we saw a couple one shot head, but nobody ever went tat on anybody's head more than once. We don't think.
Well, they're both in their 50s.
Right. Well, that's just us just guessing. Tyson worked his body, which if you're going against a fighter that's moving, and he did a tremendous job just wearing out Roy. Roy in the second round, Hunter was sitting on his stool, huffing. Tyson was like this the whole time. I mean, honestly, you and me right now.
Well, he was in great shape. We saw that when his workout videos and everything. We were just like, wow.
He was at 220. Wow. He was at 220, and you and me both right now are breathing almost as hard as he was in those first 3 or 4 rounds. Now, after he near the end, he got a little bit, but it still wasn't like. So the whole fight, Tyson was in the middle of the ring. He was like a stalker. Like this is, it was. if you're in there, and Roy has to be in there thinking, well, this is probably. I'm just glad this dude ain't 30 right now, because the whole time it was Roy back against the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like watching Foreman and Ali to a point where he was moving around, dancing and bobbing, trying to make sure. And when he got close, he grabbed him.
Yeah.
And then Tyson, honestly, we think Tyson may have broke some ribs, or he definitely. He really couldn't breathe or talk after the fight. Hardly. I don't know if you've seen the highlights of him saying, "Oh yeah, I don't want no draw."
Yeah. It's kind of like, I'll do it again.
Then he said, "I thought I did enough boxing to win there." Like, so he seriously like, and that's where like. We sit here in a room with 3 other people, and I let them say their comments, and all of them thought Tyson did better.
Right.
But you look, I've got the scorecard right here. You'll hear, like Roy said, I thought I did enough boxing, or Floyd Mayweather fans would say the same thing to win. And you're like, okay, but you're standing there, can't breathe right now,
mm-hmm.
and you may have hit him 3 times in the face all night. So like, we don't even, I can't even count the memorable face punches by anybody, really. There was one by Roy that they caught on slow motion between breaks that we caught. But other than that, like Tyson was just nothing. They were in the bodies. And
mm-hmm.
I thought, and I think after watching it, Hunter, I do believe they may have had some type of agreement as far as that goes. But
well, I'll say this.
I never saw
it wouldn't surprise
a big
me.
uppercut.
It wouldn't surprise me if they had that kind of agreement, because like I just said, they are 50. Okay. I don't really know many 50-year-olds that are just up and at him to get slammed in the face a couple times.
Yeah, Roy said every time he hits him, it hurt. He said it didn't matter where he hit me,
right.
It hurt.
Yeah, that's just what happens. That's just age. It happens to everybody. So don't feel like if you were the baddest man on earth at one time that we think any different of you now that you're saying those punches hurt at 50. That's not the point. Okay, we know that's gonna happen. But what I did see when I saw those highlights, it did look like Tyson, from what we know his monster punch really could be. Good and well he probably could have put Roy down at any moment, but he just didn't.
I thought for not fighting in how many every years, he looked good. I'm not saying he looked great. You can tell in his face, not as much in his body. He was in fantastic shape for a 50-something-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
The body he had when he was 25 is different than almost anybody on the planet ever had. So just thinking about him then is different. To me, he looks like an actual heavyweight. His face, when his forehead was wrinkled up a little, you could see the age then. But as far as his movements and stuff, I thought he was fairly fast. I think he would beat a lot of people in a fight. And Chris said he would have trouble with the top 5, and Will said he would mow through the top 20 up until the top 5, and then he would have trouble. If you give him time to legitimately get in the best shape possible for his age, I will say this: what would he probably fight at? He fought at 220 last night or Saturday.
Is that considered heavy?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm just trying.
He's definitely heavy.
Because the reason why I'm saying this is because Fury and Wilder are both huge men.
Right.
And Fury himself, if I'm not mistaken, is like 6'4", 6'5". Like, these are big men. And we know that Tyson is not very tall at all.
He's 5'11". That's probably his biggest weakness is his size. So, like, George Foreman fighting at 50, 6'4", 260 pounds. Mm-hmm. Tyson's 5'11". He's in. Thing about Tyson is his face is in punching.
Yeah,
is right in the punching area. Like at 5'11", like if you're 6'5", I might have to reach up for you. I have to uppercut a couple extra more inches.
Yeah.
You don't have as much leverage. There's just that's my one weakness with Mike is that height wise. Like when he was matched up with Roy the other night, I was like, Roy's going to catch one wrong. I was worried about after seeing definitely go Nate get knocked down. That's what you were thinking about with Roy. It says heavyweight is 201 pounds, basically.
Like, I want you, like...
So you got to be 200 pounds to be a heavyweight.
Hey,
how about this? Mike Tyson was 5'11", 220. Listen, hold up. Chance Rat 6'3", 235.
I understand. The reason why I'm saying Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury are on 2 different levels is because...
Yeah, they're big.
Tyson Fury's 6'9", 254. Yeah. Deontay Wilder is 6'7", 213.
Yeah.
Like, those are big men.
Yeah.
Those are big men. It would just be tough. Now, anybody else that's below him, I don't know. Just when you talk about, it's very tough for me to say that a man in his 50s that hasn't boxed in so
100%.
long would be able to come close to the top 20, at least in the world, because these are guys that are doing it week in, week out, just whether they're training, getting ready for their next fight.
So Lennox Lewis was 6'5". Tyson had trouble with him. Riddick Bowe was 6'5". Tyson had trouble with him. Evander Holyfield was only 6'2". He's just the toughest damn person I've ever met. If you get your ears bit off in a boxing match and then win the match, he's pretty tough on it.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
That's what, there's some guys, like, you go to fight him and you're like,
Yeah.
this dude can't fight, but he's going to take an ass whipping. And I might be tired at the end.
I know.
All right, here's the scorecard from it. And this is what's crazy. One guy had Roy winning by 4 points. A girl, Christy Martin, you know who that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
She had Tyson winning by 6 points. And another guy had it at a complete tie.
A tie?
Yeah, 76-76. So shouldn't the one that had the 6 points, shouldn't that go to the winner?
Yeah.
But they go 1-1 tie. Is how they do that instead of the total overall points. So anyway, how can one person see a 6-point win for Tyson, another have a 4-round win for Roy Jones?
I don't know.
And the fact of the matter, like, just sitting here at this table, maybe them boys might have gave Roy 1 or 2. It wasn't anything close to it being a draw, according to them. And I didn't, like I said, I did my best not to.
When Jones at the end was talking about he would do this again, good and well in the back of his mind, he's like, hell no, I'm not doing this.
Roy, he's got bigger hands than him. Like the angle I was going to show you a minute ago was better, but he definitely has bigger hands than Roy.
Yeah.
And Roy was sitting there talking about, how every punch hurt. I mean, you can maybe see a little bit on this one. Let's try this one.
Mike's just got bigger hands.
I mean, you can
They're just so
you can
much
tell
bigger.
that, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got bigger hands.
And again, that's not Tyson's best body he's ever had, obviously, but that's a pretty good 54-year-old body. He's still got those big hands, those fast arms. So, all right, I thought it was overall good for the sport.
I think it did its job and was entertaining.
I think people were wanting a knockout.
Duh.
I think people were wanting more headshots, which they didn't get. If Roy had to fight 3-minute rounds, it would have been, we think. Well, we didn't think he was like Will's like he's not lasting 6 rounds of 3 minutes on like this, and so we didn't know. We thought the 2-minute thing helped him and all that. So anyway, we had fun. Other than I've been banned from Facebook. it was about as interesting, entertaining, crazy show here up the hall for about an hour as it could possibly get. All right, I want to talk about this wreck a little bit in Formula One. Do you know how to pronounce his name?
I do not.
It's spelled Grosjean, but I don't want to do that wrong. So, Hunter, this Formula One racer,
That thing was a ball of fire.
So he go. It's the first lap. Do you know that?
I didn't know it was the first
lap. It's French. So Grosjean, probably. I'm looking for a pronunciation guide, but it's all the ones where I had to listen to it, and I don't have my ears plugged in to be able to hear Grosjean.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't say it. Anyway, how about this? So he goes through the barrier. The car rips in half, and he was basically in the fire. Grosjean. Okay, now I'm ready for it. So Grosjean was in the fire, I said, for 28 seconds. And so what we've seen so far from it, from his injuries, is that he's just got some burns on his hands, Hunter, is all. And I'm going to try to find some type of video that won't get us kicked off, but we'll see. He says it's okay. He'll be back. One of the big controversies about it, and I wanted to talk about and kind of show you something about it, is this thing called the halo. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Okay. So they've invented this thing that goes on the car, and there's been a big argument about it for the past few years. Of course, fans don't like how it looks, and that's not what the deal is. It's a safety device. Let me pull it up for you folks. So you see this T-bar, basically. It's basically a roll. It's basically like a roll cage.
Got it.
For IndyCar. So, I mean, this is your view, and this is what people were gonna try to complain about is that you couldn't see, but as you can see, it's to protect the drivers' heads basically from hitting things that aren't. From hitting things, basically.
Just basically, yeah.
It's an open cockpit, and when you flip, turn, roll over, your head is exposed, and it's going to hit the pavement and other things. They're trying to, if we can keep that from happening, that should drastically save lives. And so they've invented this thing called the halo, and there's arguments about it. Well, how it looked, does it affect driving? This guy right here is testing it in the bottom left corner. He said that almost that in F1 you're almost never looking straight ahead anyway. You're checking mirrors, or you're looking at your wheels, and the only time really you're looking straight ahead up is on starts or restarts or however they do it, and you're looking at the green light, and that's really the only thing he said he could see would be an issue. But like I said, the thing is designed to protect the driver in a crash. These are some pretty good shots here in the Ferrari. So your head's just right below it, Hunter. So
yeah,
they're saying that pretty much cut that barrier and just split the barrier and kept him alive. And then a guy a few weeks ago had crashed upside down, like in the halo. He could crawl. So if this is touching the ground, you can crawl out actually between that gap.
Yeah.
So like a roll cage is what it's for, being able to get through that. So anyway, Grosjean, let's see if I can pull up something over it, if they'll show any part of it. He went directly. You can see the big fireball behind it. He got clipped and went just directly right into it, and there he is jumping out, and the medical people got there quickly as possible. Did a great job, outstanding job actually. just seeing, I really would like to get Hunter, where you could just click on it and you see this guy hit the thing, and then it just blows up. And 28 seconds it was. Let's see if this one does good. I should have looked this up before we got to it. But boom, there's the fire. And so he's in the fire. Look at this. They're putting it out. Oh, here comes a guy out of the middle of it. How insane is that?
I'd be freaking out.
And they're gonna show us. There's the car he was in. You see the halo sitting there. That they're talking about, and then there's Grosjean in the hospital bed. And Hunter, here in 2020, we've had two big time wrecks here in racing that, as soon as it happened, fans immediately thought the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Newman earlier this year to start the season up in Daytona, and then this, and then just to see him like emerge out of those flames is just insane. Like honestly, they have no chance of putting that fire out with those little fire extinguishers, and they're just spraying it on him, hoping that they help him, and they did. Rodney Childers, Kevin Harvick's fire chief, I saw him make a comment about, these fire seats don't actually last long. they're there for seconds.
Yeah,
and the fire suits did their job, and everybody involved. It just makes you think, like, what does Jimmy Johnson think when he sees this?
Mhm.
You know, these cars wrecking in one of these things is different than
by far.
anything in NASCAR. Like you can
That's
bump
a
grind,
rocket. You're just in a small rocket.
You hit the wall. I mean, in our NASCAR, you can bounce off the wall and stay in the race. But in one of these, it's you're in a tube. They're going 170 miles per hour, or whatever it is. I know he wasn't going that fast to start that race there. I think it was only going like 100 miles per hour right at it when that happened. But just incredible sight. All right, Hunter. Let's go over to our let's talk college football. And this weekend had all kinds of weird and fun things. How about this Vandy kicker?
Yeah. How about her?
They send her out there. She doesn't get a chance to kick for a score.
She does a kick off.
She gets to do a kickoff.
And kicks it
because
wrong.
Vanderbilt is so bad that they didn't get a chance to score. And then at the end of the game, the day after, they fire the coach. Think about that. They fired him the day after bringing this girl out there. All the good publicity they got.
Right.
And all the things that they got. And then the very next day. Now, remember, we're talking about, the vaunted Commodores football program here who's won so many SEC championships.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Like what standard? And I'm not saying, and there's so many thoughts about the girl play. Congratulations that she got to play. Of course, there's arguments where we're like, why are none of the men's players, were they not allowed to try out as far as the soccer goes, or how that went? So many different weird questions about it. And then
listen,
the coach,
I will
then
say
the coach
this.
getting fired.
I will say this. You know what? Congratulations.
Anybody can
Sarah
kick. I don't
Fuller.
care.
Fine. Congratulations. I'm fine with that. To me, though, place kicker. That would be it for me if I was her. I would only want to be a place kicker. I don't think people realize, and this has nothing to do with saying girls can't play sports. I'm not saying that. But what's going to happen when she's the last man back there on a kickoff return?
You don't even have to be the last person. I've been on the football field. There's headhunters, Hunter.
That's what I'm saying.
There's 11 people, and 11 on 11, and are they going to throw a flag for unnecessary roughness?
And
for
see,
hitting a girl?
And it's
it's
one of those things where it's like, I know girls can play sports, and I know many very athletic girls. I do. And you can play soccer, you can play basketball. These are things that men do. That's fine. But football, if you have a women's football league, and I'm not talking lingerie football, okay? I'm talking a legitimate women's football league.
Hit.
They hit. I understand they hit. But you don't have one out there that's 250 running probably a 4.3, just like you said, headhunting. It doesn't matter who you are. You get locked in, and that's who you're hitting. And it's just...
Whoever's on that front row could easily just say, as soon as she kicks it, I'm running straight at her and
field goal kicker, I'm fine with it. Field goal, you're going to go out there and you're going to score points for your team? Absolutely. Punters and kickoff, I'm nervous. I'm not saying she can't do it. I'm nervous.
I would definitely say no on the punt.
I'm nervous.
Because you have to cover.
I'm nervous.
Kickoff, if you're doing onside or kicking it through the end zone, then it don't matter.
Right.
But returning kick, defending a kick is different than just.
Why do you think they moved the kickoff up? So more of them went through the back of the end zone, so we didn't have as many big collisions. Again, congratulations to Sarah Fuller, because you never thought it was going to happen at a Power 5 school. That's what really made a big difference. This was a big SEC school. But
everyone knew that kicking would be the only. And if they want to say girls can do it and play this and play that, yes and no. They can't play any position on the field.
There's nothing.
You can't come out there.
It's not, it's
a safety
defeminized. I was going to say, it's nothing against that you're a woman and you want to try and play a wide receiver position, but I don't want to see a maybe 130-pound woman running across the middle and with the opportunity of a 250-pound linebacker lighting her up.
Yeah, muscle mass, all that stuff.
It would not end well. No. And it's not saying that girls can't play football. That's what I mean by it's like women's football league where it's there's not as much of a safety hazard. Because we see some of the hits that happen even today with how strict the rules are about how you hit people. And they still are violent. Very violent.
Well, just Hunter,
It is a safety thing for me.
You're thinking. Think about you're just thinking about football. What about? Let's talk about soccer. Your sport. How would she fare playing professional men's soccer? It'd still be more physical, right?
Well, the physicality would probably,
Let's say she's a different position.
Right.
You're saying can men play or women can play men's sports? Listen, I play in basketball. We scrimmaged in 9th grade, 10th grade JV team, the varsity girls teams. We would just smoke them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just, and they were good teams. Like the girls teams that we had at our schools were really good. There's just a physical difference, and that's why I'm just wondering about. We can probably talk football we want and hypotheticalize, but when they junior boys soccer team consistently beats the Olympic team, like was it the 13 or the 16 and under team beats the Olympic team? Like
I'm meaning this in the very night. Like I'm not trying to put anybody down,
right?
But when I was either a junior or a senior, the men's soccer coach asked us to come out and scrimmage against. Or I'm sorry, the women's soccer coach asked us to come out there and scrimmage against them. And there was not a full team of us. There was maybe 9. So it was like 9 of us on 11. And we still outscored them. And it was not saying that the women's team was bad.
Right.
It was just the speed that we could play at. We were more physical than they were.
You got more muscle mass. There's a difference in people.
And like I said, I'm not saying that they can't play the sport. They're very good. It is just there would be a very big difference in if the men's United States team lined up against the women's United States team. And the women's United States team's winning World Cup after World Cup after Olympic championship. It's just there is a different speed of the game.
I think basketball would be your first indicator of that ever happening, and it's not happened. And I don't think.
And we could sit here and everybody just has to understand it is not that we don't think women can't play sports, because then we would sit here and say, oh, women shouldn't even have sports. Oh, they shouldn't even have. No, they can have. It's just genetically. It should not be a question to anybody. Like this is just basic genetics, and you looking at a man's build versus a female's build.
I think the one problem with football, Hunter, is that it's become so popular. And it's so many people like football.
Right. Yeah, men and women.
To the point where it used to be, I would say when I was growing up, a lot of the football watching population actually played, whether it's Pop Warner or high school or something. And it was kind of really men stuff. And then now it's turned into everybody watches it. So now I could sit in a room and you can see this at college and stuff. You sit in a room with like a group of people and they're talking about the game. 90% of the people in the room don't have a fucking clue about anything that's going on the football field. Like if you go to a Super Bowl,
like X's and O's,
right? If you go to a Super Bowl party, and
they're fans,
you'll have someone sitting there going, "Well, she could play." I'm like, no, she couldn't. You just listen. It just physically, you could go out there and kick field goals and things like that. But she's not coming out there and playing tight end. She's not, throwing blocks, making tackles.
Like I want people like.
It's a different.
I know for for the Washington team, obviously that I pull for. Montez Sweat is 6'8" and ran a 4.40, and he's like 260 pounds. These are freak athletes
the ones
that are playing these sports.
When people are like, "Why did he throw that ball?" or "Why did he throw that interception?" God, he sucks. I'm like, he's an NFL quarterback. He can throw a football. No matter what you think.
Right. And
the fact of the matter is people don't, it's just the little things that people don't watch or don't think or like we were just talking about. Like, say when you throw a pick or like I've thrown picks and you're just like, I didn't see that dude.
Right.
Like I'm getting chased by 2 guys here. One wide receiver didn't run the route right. The other guy, dumbass is covered. And now I got one guy here sitting in the middle and I throw it to him. The guy behind him picks it off. I didn't even see him. And I had 2 choices. Throw the pass. Throw it out of bounds, you get sacked. Or 3 choices. And 2 of those are pretty bad, and you throw it and you get picked, and you're like, well, shit.
And like I said, I don't want people to think that we just are against anti-women in sports. It's just, if a girl wants to play a position in men's NFL or men's college football, the kicker is really about the best position she can play, safety-wise. Even if she had a decent enough arm and could throw a damn good football, that would be cutting it close for me. Just because that would be the other probably safest spot she could be in, because even if she does get hit, it's like a 15-yard penalty half the time.
Even with that, like, the muscle mass you have to have on your arm and shoulders to throw a football and throw it consistently. Like when you throw a baseball, after 2 days of baseball practice, like, you can't move your arm if you hadn't warmed up in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then that football is heavy, and to throw it, like, Hunter, throwing a football, it's heavier than people think. Than your hands. That's another thing. That's is hand sizes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, girls tend to not have huge hands, so you have to have a big enough hand to be able to grip the ball to spin it the right way, or you can't even throw a spiral. So there's so many factors into this stuff, and I'm like I said, I want to know, like, how do you get the good publicity, the good news, get her out there on the field, try her out, do all this, and then fire the coach the next day. Like the last, when he was 0-9, that one. But this is the one that tipped the scales, Hunter. This is the one that we're going to fire him. And of course, I don't like the coaches, taking all their money and leaving the schools like they do. But again, getting fired at school, what's your expectations at Vanderbilt? It's like, at Duke or Carolina. What's your expectations?
Vanderbilt is a baseball school. That is a baseball school. Some schools know what they are.
Yeah.
They are a baseball school. And that's just what they have always been. But like, when people are listening to this, don't think that we don't think girls shouldn't play sports. There is a reason. There is a reason why we have men's and women's leagues.
Right. So they can excel.
Yes. That's it. It's an even playing field. I'm just saying that. So for her, congratulations. Great. You had your moment, and the kick really wasn't that great, but you did it.
I mean,
but kicking a football is not as easy as people think it is.
Here's a good example about muscle mass and stuff too, as far as comparing with the sexes. One sport I'm gonna give you where a skill should only matter, right? Golf. Girls don't play on the men's tour.
No.
They Annika Swartzen competed a few times in some of the things. Michelle Weed tried to compete a few times, but at the end of the day, you're still hitting it less distance. And it's not so much on the drive. If say you hit one, here's the difference. If Tiger hits one 330, Michelle Weed hits one 260. Okay, 70 yards. When you think about it, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but on your first shot. But on your second shot, now Tiger's hitting one from 100 using a pitching wedge, and you're hitting one from 170 using a 7-iron. That's different.
Right.
That it's the second shot that makes the difference. Is not only because even if you played separate tees, and that's what's weird about golf is on the short tees. And I've always thought, man, I don't know if the tees are actually do it or not, because if you move them up to the short tees and you hit it to 150. And I'm hitting from the blues, and I hit 150. Well, what on the second shot, we're both hitting 150. And I'm hitting pitching wedge, and she's hitting a 6-iron, which is two completely different shots.
Right.
Like, it's not even the same swing at all. So it's, to me, just, when you compare sports, we're like, well, can a girl play football? Can a girl play basketball? I'm like, if they can't even play golf, how are they going to be able to play these other sports where you're actually competing physically on the same court at the same time?
It's one of those things where they came into the room.
Maybe baseball.
Well, yeah, maybe baseball.
I played with a girl who played softball and basketball at Mars Hill, and I always thought Cam could play second base and on our high school team. She could hit the ball good enough. But I think baseball could.
But she wouldn't have to be a power hitter.
You don't
have to. And you don't have to be a power hitter to play baseball.
Cam could play second base, and I actually thought she might give it a chance when we got to high school, but she didn't. But she ended up playing softball, and when you're recruited to play softball in college, I guess you just don't go play baseball.
Right. Yeah. It's one of those. Well, and
what do you do?
It comes down to one of those things. They walked into Team USA basketball one time, and it was Kevin Durant and all them in there talking. And the question was, it was because Brittany Griner, obviously I think she's like 6'10", 6'11", the women's center, for the NBA,
I don't know what you're talking about.
she thought she could beat DeMarcus Cousins one-on-one in basketball.
6'9", 205.
And that's and that's very tall for a woman. Very tall, 6'9". But every person that they asked on Men's USA Basketball, I know, and I know that DeMarcus Cousins is their guy, but they all said, look, they would go with Boogie. Like, DeMarcus Cousins is like 6'10", 6'11", and a whole lot more physical. So,
Well, if she's 6'9", 205, she'd be a heavyweight.
fighting, yeah, and
Roy Jones only 210.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, look, it's not a bad thing because you're probably super dominant in your sport.
Right.
In women's basketball, you're probably super dominant because there's nobody else around you that can do what you can do. But in the men's, I mean, Boogie's 6'10". How many guys in the NBA are just 6'10" and all they're used for is just backing down somebody in the post?
That was the.
I don't know. It's just when you get on this conversation, it's tough for people not to look at you and say that's sexist. It's like, no, that's
the word we're living in.
It's us being realistic.
DeMarcus is 6'11", 270.
He might only be 2 inches taller, but
70 pounds. That's why I keep saying 70, the word muscle mass in all the discussions.
It's just there's a definite difference in size.
All right. So let's talk this college football. Our polls have been moving around.
Really, it's only been 2 spots that have been changing.
Yeah, for the most part.
It's been the 10 spot and the 15 spot.
And the 3. They weren't even in the league last week. They weren't even in there last week, Hunter. And I was like, how could you have Northwestern over Ohio State?
No, they were
and I can't count 5 over 4.
They were in last week. The only difference was Northwestern was above Ohio State.
Right.
Do you have it on?
He's having a freaking heart attack about that.
Do you have the graphic?
Oh, yeah, I can pull it up.
Yeah, let us do that.
Just give me a second. The graphic.
The graphic. Do you have the graphic? You got to remember, we're professional now. We got graphics. It's almost like we're a real TV show.
I don't know about all that.
So I'll just, while you're bringing up the graphic, I'll go over the rankings.
With the graphic.
This, once again, is, we'll just call it KTC Broadcasting FBS, or I'm sorry, College Football Playoff. And what it is 16 teams. 1 seed, Alabama. 2 seed, Notre Dame. 3 seed, Ohio State. 4th seed is the Iowa State Cyclones. So there's your top 4. And then the 5th seed right now would be the USC Trojans. 6th seed would be Clemson. 7th seed would be Florida. The 8th seed would be Oklahoma. The 9th seed would be Northwestern. 10th seed would be Washington. The Huskies have made their debut this week. The 11th seed would be the Cincinnati Bearcats. The 12th seed would be Coastal Carolina. The 13th seed would be Marshall. 14th seed would be Boise State. 15, the Buffalo Bulls. And 16, BYU. So that is this week's, just based off of how everything paid out this last week. This is the college football playoff, KTC Broadcasting style.
Why do people, especially college fans, it just will not register in their heads, in their hearts at all, Hunter, about earning things as opposed to opinions? Like, it was just I could just tell it was killing time.
Well, I have something I got to bring up.
Why is Northwestern not ahead of, or why is Ohio State not ahead of Northwestern? Who would put them there? And I'm like, 5 wins over 4. It's not that hard. That's just as simple as that.
Well, there's no question now because Northwestern lost.
Right.
Which is, hey, I mean, you got to win.
But if Northwestern wins out, guess who they play in the championship?
They should play Ohio State.
Yeah.
As long as Ohio State doesn't cancel another game.
But like you could just ruin a college football fans because it's like because there is no way they're better than them. Well, if they haven't earned that seed, they haven't earned. Who cares about if they're better? And that's the college football thing.
I was coming down the street and I was listening to Colin, and Colin Coward said college football has a problem where it is basically the top 3: Alabama, Clemson, I know Clemson's really not the top 3 this year, but usually Clemson and Ohio State seem to be miles ahead of everybody else.
So
he said
Power 5,
yes,
not Power 5,
yeah,
5-star.
yeah. He just was saying there just seems to be a problem because there is no balance. It's those 3 teams. The 4th team is whoever gets in, but you're not picking them to beat any of those 3. Even still, right now, the top 4 is Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Clemson, and people still think Clemson would beat Notre Dame, even though Clemson's ranked at 4. So it's like no matter who gets in there at 4, they're nowhere near what the other 3 are. So Colin said what you need to do, college football going forward, he said something about, of course, having there be a president of college football, not letting the conferences just pick and choose and be their own entities. Cool, all right, whatever, I get that. That's not the main point, though, that I really took away from it. What I really agreed with, he said, is you cut down the scholarship sizes for these schools. Instead of each school having the 80 football scholarships that they have, maybe cut it down to 70. Or 65. He said it'll force these schools like the Alabamas, the Clemsons, the Ohio States, not to always be able to just offer these 5-star recruits scholarship after scholarship. Other schools would have opportunities of offering these 5- and 4-star school or recruits scholarships. I think it would be a good step in that direction because think about it, you still would have 60-plus players on scholarship. Okay,
right. The argument would be, do you really want to take kids' scholarships away for the sake of equity in college football?
Well,
say you got 100 schools, Hunter, and you take 15 away. Well, that's 1,500 students
Kevin,
just don't get a college.
This is where he made
education.
another good point. And I know Colin.
Maybe you don't need 100 people on the roster. How about that?
To me, yes. Colin to me, good points, but he also makes dumb points. But this is another one that I think is a good point. He said, college football is going to get to a point now, if they don't fix the landscape of like at least kind of an even distribution of power, that it's going to be like college basketball and kind of be irrelevant. Like it's just going to get so boring because every year it's already like that to a lot of people.
To me,
it's been boring, and to me, it's getting boring because the only thing that gives me a sliver of hope is the fact that Georgia's at least competitive every year. They're at least competitive, but even I know you got to get through Alabama. And even if you don't, you got to get through Clemson and Ohio State and maybe Oklahoma. He said college football is going to get to the point where it's going to be like, who really is going to care when their team, because think about it, the fans that should be like, what the fuck at the end of this season is if Cincinnati goes undefeated and at least is sitting there at 6th or 7th in the polls. Because they're like, well, what else are we supposed to do? What's the point of us caring next year and the year after, where even if we do go undefeated for, I don't know, the next 3 seasons like Central Florida was doing, we're still not even going to be able to compete for a national championship. Right. It just gets to the point where it's like, well, who cares? At least in college basketball, the regular season is where a lot of people are kind of like, who cares? But when March gets there, it's because there is that opportunity for, I know I can agree with you and think there are just too many teams that are in, but even still, it's more than just the 4 that are playing for a national championship. Hell, anybody could have an upset at any point. We've seen Lehigh beat Duke. We've seen a 16 seed beat a 1 seed.
How high?
Lehigh. I mean, we've seen
That's for you, Chris.
We've seen Florida Gulf Coast go on a run. If it came down in college basketball to only your top 4s, we wouldn't have had 2 straight years of Butler in a national championship with a Brad Stevens coach team and Gordon Hayward on it. Like, we wouldn't have that. So I can agree with Colin because I think it's already there. College football, for the most part, is boring. Sure, you can root for your team because you want to see them win, but in the back of your mind, you're like, well, this is kind of just an exhibition game because it really doesn't matter.
I think what our poll does and what college football doesn't do is the qualifiers. And because as a fan, as a North Carolina, let's say you're a North Carolina fan, Hunter, and I ask you, well, how do you get in the national championship?
You got to go undefeated and beat Clemson.
Right.
But
you have to win the ACC and go undefeated.
Yes, you have to win the ACC.
If you go undefeated and lose in the ACC championship game, is there a chance you wouldn't be in it?
Absolutely. We would be like 10th.
Okay. So if Alabama goes 10-11-0 and loses in the SEC championship game, are they in it?
Yes, probably. They're the 4 seed.
That's the problem. That's the problem that fans have of all these other schools, and 99% of people who went to college went to another school besides those 3 people.
Yes.
So most of America, most of the people who you want to be your fans, their school has no chance of winning because of the rules that you guys laid out. And here in what it is, again, with no qualifying, you can sit there and say, well, my team, if my team wins in every other sport in the world, if your team wins the division or conference, you're in the playoffs.
Yes.
Can you name any other sport that would have to happen in that
No.
you wouldn't get in?
No.
But in this, it's, well, if you win your division, then what we're going to do is have 4 people discuss whether you're worthy or not. That's basically all it is. Are you worthy enough to be in our little tournament? Right. And that's and people know when smoke's being blown up their ass. You know, people know when someone's pissing on their leg and they say, "Oh, it's raining, buddy. I promise."
Yeah.
I mean, people know this, and people, you know, you talk conspiracy theories all you want over the years, but people's been blown enough bullshit over the years to just they're tired of it.
Right.
And at some point, he's right. There's a breaking point, and maybe the 2020 Corona stuff is the breaking point on some of this. Even if it gets to stupid conferences, I don't care as long as there's qualifiers. Because then if there's qualifiers, then you can say to Alabama's, sorry, buddy, and the Ohio States when they get whiny about not being put in over someone's opinion. Mm-hmm. Like, if you don't qualify, I can't put you in. And that's I don't know. It's not good. It's not a good sport to be run the way it is. When it could be better, it could be better. I'm not. Like, I
just don't see how college football can't follow the damn NFL model. You know, oh, you won your division, you get this spot just based off of your how you finish in the league. We know good and well that the 4 division winners are going to host a home game. Yeah. Okay, and then after that, it just is how you fall, how you finished in the division in your conference. So. I just don't understand that.
All right, let's talk Corona football. This week was just nuts as far as in the NFL. San Francisco 49ers, Denver Broncos.
They playing in Zona. They're going to be the Arizona
Pittsburgh
49ers.
And Baltimore, Tennessee. People are starting to worry if the season's going to be finished. They haven't canceled a game yet. However, Hunter, I don't know. They haven't, to me, been consistent in how they delegate or move games. Like this Steelers game has been moved twice.
It's been moved to tomorrow night.
Right. And it was moved to Sunday, then it got moved to Tuesday. But the Broncos game, they won't even negotiate.
They were playing it.
They're like, you didn't wear your mask. You did it on purpose. You're out. Like, what? So you can't prove that any of these people actually have it. But we're going to keep with the game and make you play with no quarterbacks. How is that? Should the
Broncos test today? All of them came back negative. Well,
should the Broncos
test that they had
not
this morning
almost?
came
And,
back negative.
I'm not really trying to be the one that goes here and stuff, but could they not almost sue the league for a competitive? I know a
competitive disadvantage.
They weren't allowed to win yesterday.
The Broncos, no, because they had to bring up a wide receiver off a practice squad that hadn't played quarterback since he was in college.
And then they had certain rules. Like they got rules in the NFL like that. So the Broncos usually wanted to start their offensive coordinator. Not the it might have been the passing the quarterback's coach.
Maybe, probably.
But seriously, that's who they asked the NFL if they could start him. He said he knows their offense better than anybody. Can we just play him? And they said no. Because they have a rule that you can't, they don't want you stashing players on the coaching staff. So whatever that rule would keep a team from holding the 47th best player in Denver off the team, like that's kind of a dumbass rule. I understand maybe the idea behind it, but what really? So they couldn't bring that guy. So that was their 5th option. Then people were like Kaepernick, Tebow, and then there was a rule like you had to be like with a team a day and then in quarantine and all that. So they were not allowed to play. Basically,
I mean, I think it's getting to the point now where you at least have to be signed to the 53-man roster,
right?
Outside of practice squad.
But why wouldn't they allow the Broncos a couple extra days like they have every other team almost on them?
See, now I didn't understand that. Mark Schlereth came on when I was listening today, and obviously he's a Bronco guy, and he's the one that was covering the Broncos game as well. And he said, at some point, the NFL was kind of getting a little bit tired that they had to do this. They thought and felt like teams maybe weren't taking the protocol set in place seriously. He said, so unfortunately, he thinks that Denver was just the sacrificial lamb. They were just the ones that the NFL said, you know what? We have had this in place. It is starting to get out of control with these teams right now. It doesn't seem to be that people are really taking all of our protocols seriously. So guess what, Denver? We hate that it has to be you, but at the same time, we need to really come down and show the rest of the teams in the league, hey, we're done really being flexible with you guys not following our protocols and keep just pushing these games back on the schedule. So that's what Mark Schlereth said. That's what he believes it was. He thinks Denver was really just they were just a sacrificial lamb. They were the piece of hay that broke the camel's back. It's just that Denver that just happened to be them this week.
Do you think,
especially because of the whole the whole Baltimore and Pittsburgh debacle? Because even now Pittsburgh has got positive cases going right now. So I think that the NFL literally just looked down at everybody in their meeting and said, you know what? It just doesn't seem like any of these bastards are listening to us. I mean, what's the point? We just got to come down hard on them. And it's the same thing, that they used to do with the fines. They used to fine the hell out of you thinking it's going to make you stop or make you listen to the rules. So, hey, I hate that it happened to Denver. There's no guarantee, really. I thought they would win that game anyways. I thought New Orleans was going to be... No matter who was going to be out there, I figured New Orleans was going to win that game.
That was one of my questions, Hunter, is that the Baltimore... Okay, the Baltimore Steelers game has been changed twice, and that has heavy playoff implications. Do you think that has anything to do with any of the decisions in Denver only having 4 wins on the season?
It might have. The problem, though, the problem I have with that thought, though, is there's RG3 is going to be the quarterback now for Baltimore because Lamar is tested positive and he has to go at least 7 days unless it comes back his next test is negative. So he's not going to be ready. They're going to be they have no running backs. J.K. Dobbins, or at least their 2 starting running backs are out for Baltimore. So no matter how I looked at it, I felt like Baltimore was behind the 8 ball regardless whether you were going to push this all the way back to Thursday or Friday. At least because if the NFL really cared about this having such heavy playoff implications, then they would have pushed it till Thursday, Friday, hell even, or they would have rescheduled it to be played at the end of the season. Because then they would have been like that extra week that they kind of gave for if there was any cancellation of a game or postponement to put it there. Because then they could say, well, we'll have everybody hopefully at full strength. Lamar versus Big Ben, everybody on the field. But it doesn't look like that doesn't seem to be the case. Right now, they're just like, we got to get the game in. Sorry, Baltimore. But I think they did that, though. The same reason why I said they did what they did to Denver is eventually Baltimore's cases just started to get out of control. Yeah. And they just started to mash up. And they said, look, well, we can't just keep pushing you back. And it's unfair, really, to Pittsburgh because we took away Pittsburgh's late bye and gave it to them early when they had to reschedule one of their games.
All right. I'm going to read these stats, okay?
Yeah, the quarterback stat is not good.
And I want you to humor me and answer me honestly.
Yes. All right.
Taysom Hill was 9 of 16, 78 yards and a pick. Hinton was 1 of 9 for 13 yards and 2 picks. 1 of 9, 13 yards and 2 picks. Tell me Chaz can't play in the NFL.
No, he could. He could.
Combined, Hunter, there were 10 of 25, 91 yards and 3 picks. Taysom Hill is getting $10 million a year.
Mm.
And he went 9 of 16, 78 yards. 10
Didn't he have like 2 rushing touchdowns, though?
Because 10 for 44 and 2 rushing. So Taysom Hill.
He's a running back.
He is. If he does this for 5 years, Hunter, he'll make more than Luke Kuechly made in his whole career.
That's all he'll have to do.
Because Taysom Hill's going to make more than Luke Kuechly did in his whole career. No matter how great you think Kuechly is, that backup quarterback, him and Chase Daniels making $10 million a year, and is making so much money. And that's why I was like, man, don't come on, Chaz, get out there. But 1 of 9 for 13 yards and 2 picks. The NFL would rather have that, Hunter, than reschedule the game. That's what was weird. That's what's weird to me. It's like that. You're you're not actually putting out a quality product.
No, it was.
If you're not going to allow one quarterback.
I don't think. I'll be honest. I don't even think I could have found that game anywhere if I tried to look for it.
I was hoping it was on TV. I wanted to watch that.
No, I had
dying.
no. I
was
no
dying
desire.
to watch what the Broncos were going to do.
I had no desire. To me, if I was Denver going into that game, I would have done nothing but maybe a 5-back rotation, and we're just running the football.
It was. It's like watching the Crest Chargers run the.
Hell, I'll run the option.
They ran the Wildcat the whole time.
I'll just run the option.
They ran 33
I'll
runs.
go Georgia Tech on you in the NFL and run the triple option.
Had 33 rushes.
Old Georgia Tech. They don't do that now.
9 passes.
Old Georgia Tech.
33-9. I wanted to watch. I wanted to see it and see what
I
happened.
knew it was going to be ugly. What was that? It was a 4:00 game, if I'm not mistaken.
31-3.
It was either I watched that or I watched the Tampa Bay Kansas City game. So I was like, okay, I think I'll watch the other one.
I just, I can't believe the NFL would do that and just send them out there and.
Well, what I don't like that the NFL didn't do is at least let them sign, like how you said, people were screaming just for them to sign some sort of quarterback. Hell, just pick one up for a game. Give him one game check. Say, look, buddy, you know you're only going to do this for one day, but damn.
How many NFL players have ended up in the hospital over Corona? None.
I don't think we've had one.
How many professional athletes, period, have we had end up in the hospital? Can you name one?
I don't.
We've had a lot of people test positive. A lot of people miss games, but has anyone ever been in the actual hospital? I don't know, but we haven't seen, as far as I know, any of it. But let's go through some of these games, and then I want to get to this little fun topic here. Let's go through some comments. Thursday, Texans beat the Lions.
Shit show, but yeah, they did that.
And then Patricia got fired, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I tweeted during that game. I did. I tweeted, if I am Detroit, I'm going to let Matt Patricia enjoy his Thanksgiving weekend, but on Monday, his card does not work when he gets to the building. And guess what? They fired him. Listen, I'm telling you, it was a matter of time. You cannot be there for almost 3 to 4 years and have a losing season.
This is like Vanderbilt firing Derek Mason. What do you expect, Hunter?
No. I'm just saying,
the
like,
Detroit Lions.
What I mean by this, though, is
sorry, Detroit fans.
Caldwell, who they had before him, at least made, I think, 1 or 2 playoff appearances.
Jim Caldwell.
And then they brought in Matt Patricia thinking, oh, well, he'll be able to take us to the next step. And the 3 or 4 years that he's been there so far, he has had a losing season, and a losing season. So he obviously just wasn't the fit. Now, I'm going to say this right here and now. We can cut it down, see if it actually happens. So in this offseason, we'll remember this. Detroit, you are now in the position not only for a general manager, but a head coach. Call Kansas City. Get Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator from Kansas City. He is deserving of a head coaching position. You got Stafford, who is still competent enough. If you got an offensive system around him, do it.
You know who should take his job?
Take whose job?
The Detroit job.
The head coaching job?
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say a name you'll never think of, but I have my reason.
Is he an ex-player or is he an ex-coach?
Coach.
Has he coached recently? Like within the last 5-6 years?
Yes.
Is he fired? So
you talk about NFL?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, is he on the? He's in the college game.
Mm-hmm.
Is he currently coaching?
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of one. I thought you would name another person. I think you're going to say another name, but I'm thinking of.
Did you
someone
think
else.
I was going to say Urban Meyer?
No. I thought you'd say Jim Harbaugh.
No, I was going to say
he's
Tom.
already in Michigan.
I know. I was going to say Tom Herman.
Who I think should take the job, who has told everybody on this planet that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, that he's the great Wizard of Oz, that he's just the awesomest coach of all time, Nick Saban.
He's not going to the NFL.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right, big boy, you the man. That dude loves people praising him.
Oh, I know.
He went to Miami and was shit. Let's go to Detroit and see what happens. And that's my thing with these great college coaches. Like I said last weekend, we always talk about the Dabos and but they never go to you never go to Vanderbilt and make them a national champion. They never go to South Carolina and make them a national champion. They go to Alabama and the Michigans and Ohio
Nick
States.
Saban's listen. He's got too much money right now. He's not risking it. He's set
Give
for
him
life.
$20 million.
He's set. I know they could, but he's set for life right now because he has to look at it.
That was me personally. What I want.
No, I know,
but
but
him to go
now,
prove himself.
if I had to sit here and genuinely think about maybe a college coach to go to
But
Detroit,
Harbaugh wouldn't surprise me.
Harbaugh wouldn't surprise me because his time in Michigan is ticking. I think it's almost done, and I don't necessarily know if it'll be the school that fires him or if it's him walking away because he's done that before.
It might be a mutual thing.
I think Tom Herman, because his time is coming to a close at Texas, and it's one of those things where Cliff Kingsbury was the coach at Texas Tech, and he didn't really have winning seasons, but now he's in the pro game coaching the Cardinals, and it fits better for him. What I've heard so far out of Tom Herman is he's just so intense, and he just rubs people the wrong way, and I'm thinking...
dealing with that.
But I'm just saying, like, you think college kids are really... Because the problem is that he's getting out-recruited at Texas. And that's probably what's rubbing kids the wrong way from wanting to come and play for them at Texas. But maybe go to the professional game? I don't know. And the other one that's going to be thrown around is the one that a lot of people thought Jerry Jones was going to hire, is Lincoln Riley out of Oklahoma. But,
yeah, a lot of people say
but I don't know. To me, if you're Detroit and you're in the position for a head coach and you want one that's been in the NFL already, you went defense. You need to go offense and go get Eric Bieniemy.
All right, Hunter, who's the best team in the NFC?
As of right now, with the record, is the Saints.
So last week I had the Rams at the 2 spot in the NFC,
and they got
get
beat
by San Francisco with no Garoppolo.
They are a anomaly.
Yes.
I have no idea about the Rams. They beat the Buccaneers the week before.
I miss picking their game about every week.
Because
I have no idea.
It's almost 50-50 at this point.
They're 7-4. Thought they were in the. Every time they get high, what do I always say? I don't trust Goff, and then they suck up for 2 games. But 49ers can't play at home now.
Playing in Arizona.
They're going to be playing at the Cardinals' home stadium because of their county has shut down everything.
Everything.
You
No
thought
outdoor
our governor
venues.
was bad because San Francisco's.
I've heard many.
Worse.
I've heard many people that live in California that are on-air personalities are also disagreeing a little bit with some of the. They always phrase it. I don't want to get political, but some of the regulations that California's kind of passing might be a little bit over the top.
Well, yeah, it's all political. So if the people are making decisions are going to make it political, you should be able to comment and make your own political.
But
stand.
that one right there, I just don't agree with that. No outdoor venues at all.
Yeah, it's weird.
And how weird. Like, are they just going to share the practice facility with the Cardinals? I thought we were trying to prevent the spread of the coronavirus by limiting how many people go into the same place.
I did.
This has just gotten really weird.
Yeah. All right. So.
Do we call them the Arizona 49ers now?
I mean, you're the expert on that. Maryland football team there.
I guess we do.
Are they the Arizona football team? I mean, the San Francisco football team. If they're not in California, they're not the 49ers anymore.
Are they do they even claim Arizona, or do they just claim the city of Phoenix?
The team formerly of Santa Clara football team.
Santa Clara. There you go.
All right, Hunter, can I request that you and Tom not mention the Oakland Raiders anymore this year? Or the Las Vegas Raiders anymore?
No.
They're hot garbage.
They're not hot garbage. They just came out and played shit this past weekend.
43-6.
I know. I realize. But
to the Falcons.
But at least one of those two teams is still in the playoff hunt. In Oakland or Las Vegas.
Well,
Sorry.
I mean, they're in the hunt, but they ain't in the playoffs right now.
Not right now.
They have been kicked out of the playoffs for the time being. I'll give you those in just a second, but I did want to. I saw that, and I'm like, I gotta say something, Hunter, about those jokers. Over in New York, the Giants, Hunter, take the lead in the NFC East.
They do, and
then lose their quarterback.
Yeah, Jones is hurt. I don't know how long he's hurt though.
It says he's maybe out for a while. Listen to this. The Giants started 1-7 and are in first place.
Yeah, they're 4-7 now.
A 3-game. We've been saying for weeks. Anybody who wins 2 straights in the driver's seat, they have put on a 3-game.
But
they were 1-7.
Mm-hmm.
You had a 3-game winning streak at 1-7, first place.
Listen, I do not want Washington
to win this
division. I don't. It's going to be a meaningless playoff game, and it's going to take us out of a draft pick.
We're going to talk about that in just a second, too.
And it's a pretty substantial difference between if you finish second in that division or win it.
Yes, it is. I totally agree with you. Titans, who got beat at home by the
Can
Colts.
everybody in this division kind of just like forfeit and say, we'll just give you an extra wild card spot for this position?
They're trying.
Shit, man.
Automatic bye for the 2 seed. Just,
I guess. Damn.
So Titans destroy the Colts after the Colts destroyed them a few weeks back.
Tennessee has got the makeup to win another playoff game this year. I don't know how much of a run they'll make, but I will say this. The Indianapolis Colts could not and would not stop Derrick Henry.
That's walking down the hall and his keychain is hanging out of his pants.
Yeah.
He caught the doorknob and jerked him straight out of his pocket. That's pretty good.
But Tennessee, watch out. I'm going to keep my eye on Tennessee when it comes playoff time.
The Arizona Cardinals go for it at the end of the first half, instead of kicking a field goal, miss it, and lose by 3. To Cam Newton.
Who had 2 picks for like 83 yards.
Whose passing stats weren't much better than the kid from Denver.
But guess what? That'll go down as a win.
9 of 18, 84 yards and 2 picks. Taysom Hill was 9 of 16 for 78 yards. Now remember this, Hunter. Taysom Hill was 9 of 16, 78 yards and 1 pick, and people call him garbage. Cam Newton, 9 of 18, 84 yards and 2 picks, and be like, well, he was the MVP.
That blows my... It's beyond me, Kevin. That is beyond me.
So... He's still out there. Are the Patriots going to bring him back next year?
No.
You don't think so at all?
No, the Patriots. Well, I don't
at any
know.
Price?
I don't know what they're going to do because to me, if I was the Patriots after those first few games where we were like 2 or 3 games below 500, I was like, you just tank. Just give up and go get you the quarterback you want. But now you're winning, and I'm thinking, no. You're doing the wrong thing. At some point in this NFL season, teams got to go, winning is wrong right now. We need players, okay? Strategy, all right? Winning, bad. Losing, good.
So here's some strategy for you. A few weeks back, and I wish I could go back. I guess I damn can, but it'd take me forever to find it. At some point about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I made you go through the Dolphins' schedule and pick wins and losses, and we came up. There's going to be 7-5 at the end of the 12 weeks.
Yeah,
they're 7-4 right now, Hunter.
Yeah,
and
Tua didn't play this past weekend,
and he's been benched back. For Fitzmagic.
He got benched in the game against Denver because he wasn't really playing good, and they thought they could come back. And then this past week, they said it was a thumb.
If you're in a playoff hunt, why? And Fitzpatrick was upset that he got benched because he didn't think he had.
He didn't lose his spot.
He didn't think he had lost the spot. If you're in a playoff hunt as a coach and these grown-ass men, your responsibility is to put in the best player
right.
to win.
Yes.
Not develop Tua. You can do that in the offseason if that's what you want to do. But they've lost to the Patriots, Bills, Seahawks, and then the Broncos a few weeks back, or last week somehow. They got the Bengals this week. Is that a win?
Yeah.
Now, then it gets
tough at the end.
8-4.
It's going to get tough at the end.
Home against the Chiefs.
That's a loss.
Home Patriots.
That's a win, maybe.
I think so, too.
I think it's a win.
They might blow them off the field. This might be a big FU to Belichick.
It might be.
At Raiders.
I think that one can go either way.
And at Bills.
I think they do lose to Buffalo because that will be frigid weather.
So after this week, if they beat the Bengals, Hunter thinks they have a chance to win 2 more games.
So they'll be 9 and
put them at 8. So anywhere from 8 to 10 wins.
Yeah.
And that is before the season starts. If I said, Hunter, Miami Dolphins get 9 wins this year with no Tua playing a single down, with Tua not really playing at all. I know he played a game, but
people would have said you're dumb.
Fitzpatrick.
People would have said there's no way.
Would Fitzpatrick lead them? Put it this way. Fitzpatrick is going to lead the Dolphins to the playoffs, and Cam Newton won't lead the Patriots to the playoffs this year. Is that not another bad thing that goes on his resume if Fitzpatrick leads the Dolphins to the playoffs and Cam don't? I don't nitpick, but
I don't know if that because this isn't even a full strength New England team. They have so many players that are just opted out. So I think I can say this year, at least for Cam on this Patriots team, I can put an asterisk next to this. I'm not going to say it justifies how he's played because he has played bad, but just as a team as a whole, it is a very bad team.
All right, so moving on to some other games. You watched that Chiefs Bucks game. It looked like the Chiefs were going to put up 100 points at one point, or they're early in the game, and then the Bucks. Here's the Chiefs scored 17-3-7-0. The Bucks scored 0-7-3-14. Complete opposite. So, what do you see between these two teams' possible Super Bowl matchup?
I don't know Super Bowl matchup, and it's only because I think Tampa Bay still has too many flaws. I think that they're good enough to make the playoffs. I don't think they're good enough to make it deep in the playoffs. If they don't fix some of the chemistry problems, I believe, that are between Tom Brady and Bruce Arians, I think they're legit. I think they really are. Bruce Arians wants to throw the ball down, and Tom Brady is like, we can do that every now and then, but...
So I don't know if you've caught what Romo was talking about kind of before the game and during the game as far as the difference between the Patriots offense and the Bucks offense. So for people that don't understand, like we was talking about earlier, is like when you sit in a room with people who've never played quarterback and they comment on like, why did he throw that ball? Exactly for Brady. So Cowboys, when Romo was there, had a pre-snap read offense. That's what Brady ran forever, is pre-snap read. Arians' offense is post-snap read, which is a completely different thing. So for folks that don't understand, post-snap means once you get the ball in your football, then the play is called, basically. And you're reading after the play is gone.
And you're basically just going through your progressions until you find the one that looks the best for you.
Right. You're watching safety movement, basically. So you get up to the line of scrimmage, you got your four verticals. A lot of teams like to run that for some reason. And you get up there, you're like, I like my matchup here, I like my matchup here. Whichever way the safety goes, that's the way I'm going to go. So with a quarterback who's 40 years old, might not be the best thing. Okay? So pre-snap, what they would do, if you would notice, for Romo fans or the Phillip Rivers, the Peyton Mannings of the world, is they pre-snap and they'll put each receiver exactly in the route that they want. All of that pre-snap. So they know going in before they snap the ball pretty much where they're probably going to go, one of two spots. And it's totally different. And then and one reason I bring that up is Jason Witten. Remember we talked about this, his Y route. That's the extreme example of what we're talking about here is Witten would run the route. He would run that right at his defender, and as soon as he turned his hips, he turned the other way. And then he was wide open for at least a split second. And that's what the Cowboys used to do. And Romo used to throw picks, and you'd see it, and people like, what the hell is he throwing at? Receiver ran the wrong route. And when Bruce Arians says Tom made the wrong read or the receiver ran the wrong route, that's exactly what he's talking about, is that the receiver saw one thing, Tom was looking at another, and then if you're thinking that, Hunter, you get the ball, and then you're not making the decision until after the snap. You go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Well, this guy's not in the right place.
No.
Now I've got to turn and do something else, and with their offense is 4 verticals, so their bailout throw is actually the deep ball, and a lot of these bailout throws the dump to the running back, which is what Tom has pretty much been.
That's what Tom's always done.
Bailout now might be just throw it deep.
One thing that
we've always,
we've always said about Tom, especially with his days in New England, was that he could make any wide receiver good. And that was because he had a little bit of Drew Brees in him with age. Obviously, he could throw people open and put it where he is. And Tom is a timing and a precision thrower. When they talk about guys that can absolutely be like a surgeon to defenses, they talk about the Drew Brees and the Tom Brady's, and it's never about
knowing where my receivers are going to be.
Right, and it's never been about, oh, he just throws the deep ball. No, he picks you apart at least in between 8 to 10 yards down the field. It's not, oh, he is always consistently hitting these 20-yard bombs. And somebody made a good point the other day. I cannot remember who was talking about it. I was listening to a talk show, and he made a good point. He said, Bruce Arians has coached Peyton Manning, Carson Palmer, and Ben Roethlisberger, and now Tom Brady. And every year, and he coached Jameis Winston. We'll say that
don't
too.
Skip Jameis.
I know, he coached Jameis, but that's actually a very good point. Every year that he coached, that quarterback, whether it was Peyton, Carson,
Andrew Luck, too.
Ben. He coached Andrew Luck and Jameis Winston. That was the year they had their most interceptions they had ever thrown. Why? Because they're trying to push the ball down the field. They're just taking huge shots.
Right.
That's just how it is. And I don't think I can sit there and say, outside of Jameis being a question mark, that those weren't really damn good quarterbacks. And Ben, Peyton, Carson Palmer, Andrew Luck, and now Tom Brady. So, to me, that's why Kansas City, that's a known commodity. They're going to probably be right there in the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. One of those two is that their destination. Tampa Bay, it's a chemistry thing.
All right, Hunter, a couple more questions for us to do the show.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to the Browns for this one.
Okay, I like it.
Is Chubb the best running back in the NFL?
It's either going to be Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry. I'll say this. Two of them are in the AFC, one of them in the NFC. It would be Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, or Dalvin Cook. It would be one of those three. Mm-hmm. And I'll even throw out there, I think the best dual threat running back is not Christian McCaffrey, obviously, because we haven't seen him this year. He's damn good. He would be my second, but I think the best one is Alvin Kamara. I think Alvin Kamara is an absolute mismatch for no matter whether he's running the ball out of the backfield or taking the ball out on a swing pass or just going downfield with somebody. But Nick Chubb, if you want to talk about a pure running back for what all you're supposed to do is hand the ball off to him and he's running, I think he's faster than Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's as strong as Derrick Henry.
Nobody's that big.
Yeah, nobody's that big. and nobody has that stiff arm as vicious as he does. So I think he's close.
Let me give you some fun stats.
He's damn close.
He's only played 7 games this year.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, because he was hurt for 2 or 3.
He's second in average yards per attempt. First is Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray just gets out
at 6.7. Nick Chubb's averaging 6.3 yards a carry.
He's good, man.
On a handoff.
He's good. I saw it at Georgia. Look, he's good, man.
So total yards, he's tied for 6th, and he's only played 7 games. So, for example, for someone, he's tied with Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake has 53 more carries, and they got the same number of yards.
I think Drake's only missed like 1 game, too.
Yeah,
so.
he's missed 1.
Yeah.
And he's got 53 more carries than Chubb, and Chubb's got the same number of yards. How about Ezekiel Elliott for you Cowboys fans? Chubb has more yards than Zeke. Zeke has 70 more carries. 70 more carries and less yards than Nick Chubb.
Guess what? Nick Chubb was not a first-round draft pick.
No, he wasn't.
He was 2nd or 3rd.
That's insane. It's just insane.
He's good, man. Look,
how good he is.
We're getting ready to produce another 2 running backs out of Georgia, all right? Zamir White and Dalvin Cook's brothers coming out, too. Mm-hmm. So if y'all need running backs...
Well, Cleveland don't.
I'm just saying, NFL, if you need running backs, there's a reason why Georgia's getting ready to be called RBU, all right? We produce them.
In fact, Kareem Hunt has 24 less carries than Zeke and 1 less yard.
I think
so. The Browns have 2 running backs that with less carries than Zeke
and
more yards than him.
Well, I will say this too: you did a good thing in Cleveland this year. You addressed your offensive line situation by getting Conklin out of Tennessee, which was very good. You got another. I think Hooper helps a lot as well if he's not receiving passes on the offensive line as well. So you've done a good job addressing what you need for the offensive part of it. The only thing I think you need to address now is just bolstering that defense to where if they don't get injured, that's it.
So Baker is kind of in the same. He's in the Ryan Tannehill game of he's good enough to win. And I went back and I'll bring him up Saturday if Tom wants to talk about it. Bernie Kosar had a 4 winning season stretch. His stats weren't off the charts, but what do those Browns teams have? Great defenses and great running games, and that's what we're looking at. Was their running game's good, if not one of the best.
Well, to me, that's why Kansas City to me is. I know they have 1 loss, but that's why really going forward, I think they're just about unbeatable. Is because their run game is getting better and better with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and the addition of Le'Veon Bell. You know what they already could do through the passing game, and their defense will just consistently they're not horrible. They're good enough at a top 12 defense to at least get you.
So what happens to offenses like that, Hunter, is obviously their offense is good enough to score on anybody. But what happens to them if you look at the Patriots, for example, the Minnesota Vikings when they went 15-1 with Randy Moss. Both teams with Randy Moss that went.
Didn't get the chip.
I think he went like 34-1, and
Didn't get the
neither one
chip.
of them got it, or 34-2. Neither one of them got a championship.
Yeah.
So the thing about those offenses that at someplace in the playoffs, you can get a really good hot defense, and that's going to be the matchup problem. And we make the mistakes of saying, well, if they play Pittsburgh, we're going to be like Ben versus
Mahomes,
and that's not the deal. It's
defense versus
those
Mahomes.
defensive backs versus whatever. Can you keep the cheetah in check?
That's tough.
And
good Lord.
You know,
I played against him in fantasy this week. I was winning until his game started. Do you know how many points he dropped in fantasy alone? 59. God almighty.
So Steelers have the 1 defense, Dolphins 2, Ravens 3, Rams 4, Saints 5, Chiefs 6. All potential should be playoff teams.
Yeah.
Your football team in Maryland up there is the 7th or 8th best.
We got a great
Hunter.
defense. I'm serious. I said it Saturday, and I've said it to somebody else that was trying to tell me, you can win games with Alex Smith. I'm like, no, he is going to be the only thing that holds us back. That and maybe ensuring offensive line and maybe one other wide receiver. Why? Because we got a good defense. We got a damn good defense. We got good young weapons in Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson running out of the backfield. But Alex Smith, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I know what he is. I've seen him at his peak. He was good in Kansas City. He was making playoff games. But was he getting them past the hump? No. Why do you think they went to Patrick Mahomes? It's not like the season before they moved off of Alex Smith, they had a losing season. No, they made the playoffs. I think they just lost that playoff game to Tennessee, and they saw and realized, oh, we're limited. But this guy, it breaks it wide open, and that's what I mean by like, I don't really care if Washington wins the division. I don't care if we win another game. I want one of these top quarterbacks coming out. I want us to be able to get it and hit the right one this time, and then fill in around.
Well, and that is a big
and you got to remember, too, if you're picking 3rd or 4th in the first round, guess what? You're picking 3rd or 4th again in the second round and the 3rd round.
Right. So, real quick, last game I wanted to touch on before we talk about potential draft and playoff spots is Panthers.
God, that was a Carolina Panthers way to lose.
Was that game drunk or what?
Oh, my God. I mean, BB or whatever his name is, let that thing just hit right off his chest.
How drunk was that game? One team led. The other team led. Last second scores. Kirk Cousins marched down the field.
He had going into
like
that
35 seconds.
People don't realize, Kirk Cousins gets a lot of crap, but he's efficient, all right? He's very efficient. Kirk Cousins has 15 game-winning drives in his career. He's good when it's like that crunch time moment.
He's good
like,
against
dang.
the prevent defenses.
That's it.
He's killing
That's it. He's carving them up. He's carving them up.
I mean, that game was wild.
Kirk Cousins to me is Alex Smith, just younger. You got a ceiling. You can win with him. Is he taking you to the next level? Maybe not.
So the Panthers did improve their defense this year, Hunter. They are now, let me be accurate, 15th, I think, overall in scoring defense.
Chin, who they drafted. That was a hit. That was a really good hit. Chin. He is going to be special. He's like a box safety.
Oh, okay.
It's like a box safety or a cornerback. Regardless, he got back-to-back plays. First time it ever happened where he fumbled, got the fumble, and scored.
Okay. That was him.
Yeah, that was him. So he's a rookie. Hey,
well, the Panthers
they're on the rise on defense.
So about 5 or 6 weeks ago, Hunter, we had 7 teams giving up 30 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
Now we only have 1.
Defense is starting to catch up.
Can you guess which team? Still giving up 30 points
Dallas.
a game, and it's 32 points a game.
Is it Dallas?
Yes.
Because they gave 41 to us. So.
Yeah. Last year, Panthers gave up 29. We're second worst in the league. They're 25 now, and that's moved them up into the middle, kind of almost middle of the pack. So they improved there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my thing in the NFL. Your defense needs to win. Last year, you know who the worst defense in the NFL was, Hunter? See if you can guess that one. Panthers were next to last.
It was not Tampa. They were close
in geography.
Was it Jacksonville?
Nope. Miami.
Well, it was Dolphins.
Last year, the Dolphins gave up the most points in the NFL. Hunter, this year, they're second. They went from 31 points to 18 in 1 year. Cut off 2 touchdowns a game.
Helps you playing this year's New England
in 1
and
year.
Miami twice a year.
You mean
And you're
Jets.
getting ready to play. Yeah, I already had the Jets.
Jets,
Sorry. Yeah. And you're getting ready to play the Bengals without Joe Burrow.
But again,
Whew.
30 dead last to second is outstanding.
I will say this, though. That game's unfortunate, the Miami and Cincinnati game, because I was really looking forward to if Tua was playing by then. Joe
Tua
versus.
but neither one of them's
and
playing.
neither one of them's playing.
It's Fitzpatrick versus Finley.
Yeah, no.
Oh, who's
I don't know who this quarterback is for Cincinnati,
You don't
but
know
it was
now?
not Finley that played this past weekend. It might be this coming up, but it was not Finley this past weekend.
All right, so setting up your standings, what we just talked about a few minutes ago about who wants the pick. And this is what I wanted to get to earlier, Hunter. If the season ended today,
Mm-hmm.
the Giants would be in
Playoff.
the playoffs.
Yes.
That would make them, let's see, they would be picking, if 14 teams make it, they would be picking 18th.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys will be picking 4th. Eagles 7, Skins 9.
There's a substantial jump between who's in second and first.
It's either a top 10 pick or 18th.
No, there's no way.
You're
I can't
18th
do
pick
it.
in the draft or you're top 10. And you're in Dallas's case or any of the other ones if you lose more. So let's start with let's do the draft right like this, Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And my question earlier was, do the Dallas Cowboys end up with Trevor Lawrence?
I don't think so.
And here's why. Here's my reasoning. One, you can pay Dak Prescott off an ankle. They haven't been willing to, but with a good ankle. Now you got a broken ankle, you're going to pay him $35 million a year, or you can draft a guy for free. You have Andy Dalton, who you could probably pay $10 million a year and keep him,
Mm-hmm.
right? 2 years, $20 million to Andy Dalton. You're sitting there in the 4th pick. Are the Jets picking a quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
You think so? No more Sam Darnold? What are they going to do with him?
You're going to have to move off of him.
But what do you do with him? Is that a cut?
I think they try and trade, see what they can get for him.
Who trades for Sam Darnold? Is that a backup? Or is that a
Unless
starter?
somebody looks at him and says what he has put on the field is just a product of his situation, and he can actually play. I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know, because then you have to look around, and like I said with Cam this past offseason, it is slim pickings for teams that just genuinely need quarterbacks that
Right.
aren't just going to look at the draft and say, well, they're ready now, I'm just going to draft them this year.
I'm just trying to look at teams that who would say yes to Sam Darnold? Denver?
Maybe.
With the Giants?
No. They like Daniel. They like Jones.
With the Bears?
Maybe.
With Washington?
I'm not going to say no, maybe.
Okay. So
Because I don't know what's going on in their heads at all up
at
there.
the 2 pick right now is Jacksonville. They would definitely pick a quarterback.
Yes.
3 pick is Cincinnati. They're not picking a quarterback.
Mm-mm.
Then that would leave Dallas at 4. So, if Dallas wants Trevor Lawrence, they
They
only
gotta
have to
trade up.
trade up 3 spots.
Mm-hmm.
If they're sitting at the 4, that's a fantastic spot. Hunter, if you're the Jets, do you take, let's just take, even though he's not really trade bait, do you take Andy Dalton and the 4 pick and a bunch of other picks? If you're the Jets, you've sucked ass for so long. And think about this, Hunter.
This just depends on how sold you are on drafting Trevor Lawrence at 1 if you're the Jets and saying there's nothing that you can give us. We got to get this guy now.
But again, this is Jerry Jones we're talking about.
So he'll throw something together. He'll put a deal together.
Is he going to be happy sitting at 4 and taking a offensive tackle and re-signing Dak Prescott, or would he be more happy making the biggest this is Jerry Jones we're talking about. This would be the biggest headlines of all time. And not only this, Hunter, let's say he doesn't even have to force his way to 1. What if Trevor Lawrence says, I want to be a Dallas Cowboy. Trade me there like Eli did. And then the Jets don't have a choice. Because this might not even be on them. If you're Trevor Lawrence, do you want to end up in Jacksonville or the Jets? Or do you want to end up in Big D? So this might not even be a Jones moving to 1.
Now
This
I will
might
say
be
this.
an agreed upon
This
switch.
this is what would be more attractive to me if I was the general manager of the Jets and Dallas approaches me about the first pick. I would say, Dallas, look at our offense. You know we need help. We need running backs. because right now our best running back is 37-year-old Frank Gore. We need wide receivers. We need tight ends. Hell, we even need offensive line. So I'm open to listening what you would give us, but you got to include some players for this number 1 overall pick, because you're taking us out of a consideration for who people are arguing to be the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck came out 3 or 4 years. No, Andrew Luck was in the league for like 8 years. Mm-hmm. So regardless, that's what he has to do. And if I'm the Jets, I say to Dallas, listen, you just drafted CeeDee Lamb. You got Michael Gallup. Why don't you trade us Amari Cooper?
Oh, you're asking for Amari? Yeah.
You just gave him all that money. You give us Amari Cooper. We'll go back to 4. So let's say, and maybe a future pick or a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Mm-hmm. Because if you're the Jets, that's what everybody's talking about right now for the Jets. Is we're probably going to get Trevor Lawrence. But if you're not going to do that,
everybody but Sam Darnold.
Everybody but Sam Darnold saying that. But you got to look around the room and say, well, if we can't get the quarterback, we got to get better in a lot of other places.
You know what the wild card about the Jets is Adam Gase, whether he's there or not.
No, Adam Gase is going to be gone.
Surely
he'll be gone.
Why is he even still there?
I don't know. I don't know.
But so you've got a new GM and a new coach, and they have to make the decision: do they want to start fresh? Again, new coaches, so like Matt Rule and stuff. You know, it's easier for Mike McCarthy to start fresh with a
new quarterback,
with a young quarterback, than it is for a coach who's never been there before. Mm-hmm. So if you put a new coach in there that's never coached an NFL game with a quarterback who's never played an NFL game, I think that's your mix up for bad things.
But that's what I mean, though. So say Dallas does go to 1, and the Jets go to 4. The problem is that Jacksonville's sitting right there at 2.
They still take Fields?
I think they take Justin Fields.
Well, who's the 3rd guy?
Trey Lance out of North Dakota State.
Is Trask not available?
Or I think Zach Wilson from BYU or Kyle Trask from Florida pop up.
Okay.
Me, because I know, and this is just going to be one of those things, people are going to say, oh, it's an SEC elite bias. No. We have seen that Zach Wilson has put up great numbers, but he has not played against tough competition. Right. I saw what Kyle Trask did to a Georgia defense, and he lit them the hell up. So even as a Washington fan, if I'm sitting there at 9 right now, I'd think about taking Kyle Trask if he's available there at 9. But what I'm talking about, though, for the Jets is you would then be putting yourself in position for not even the 2nd best quarterback. You would be having to look at the 3rd, 4th, or your 5th best quarterback.
But what if you already like Sam Darnold, though?
If you like Sam Darnold, then you don't move.
And
you just bolster some. If the Jets were gonna sit on Sam, then I would ask for a whole lot more and Amari Cooper for that one pick. I would say
happy, Hunter?
You would have to give me the 4. I want a 2nd and I want a 3rd.
Wouldn't you be happy with? Let's say the Cowboys give you their 4th and their 2nd round pick. Because then you could get the 3rd best quarterback and still have Sam Darnold. So because Darnold's on a contract. So then you've got 2 top 3 quarterbacks on your roster. Then in the 2nd round, use that pick for whatever space that you needed after that. So I think there's a way. I think the closer the Cowboys get to that top, the better chance. If they're sitting there at 8, that's hard to get to 1. Mm-hmm. But if they're at 4, and Jerry's sitting there thinking, do I pay Dak 35 or I go up and get this kid? And you know Jerry loves winning headlines more than he does football games. To get Trevor Lawrence on the Dallas Cowboys would be the biggest damn headlines. We thought Patriots might end up with him, and people were losing their minds. He ends up with a star on his helmet. There's going to be a lot of fans.
Listen, I'll say this. I think that Dallas would hit big whether they get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. I think that'd be. I seriously think that would be jackpot for Dallas.
I'll laugh my ass off if they get Fields because then I can go, well, Terry, now you got the Ohio State quarterback. Good luck with that mess.
I think they're both hot commodities.
All right, you're the Panthers at 6 right now. What's your 1st round pick? Offensive lineman?
It's either offensive lineman or the best linebacker available.
That's
I
6.
think. Or
you could get the best linebacker.
You could get the best linebacker available.
How about 2nd round, 6th pick, Chaz Surratt to the Panthers?
2nd round, 6th pick. You could. I don't see why not.
third round 6 pick Sage Surratt to the Panthers. Back-to-back Surratt.
You could.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just bolster that up. They're not outside of Chaz, who has a tremendous upside. Sage is not a game breaker. He's a possession receiver. That's what Larry Fitzgerald has made his career for. So you could do it. But then you would also have people raising their eyebrows, kind of like with the Will Grier pick a few years ago, where it's like, oh, did you do that just to make local people happy? Like, he played at Davidson Day, and his dad and all them are around here. So I don't know. The Chaz pick I have no problem with if they were to do that in the second round. And that's just because I look at their linebacker position, and I'm like, do you think Shaq Thompson is really that guy? You need a middle linebacker to replace what you've lost. You lost Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly. And sure, they'll never possibly reach the height that Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly were at. But, I mean, still, it's something that you have to look at going forward if you're the Panthers. I don't know. You got decent enough cornerbacks. The pass rush, maybe you can bolster it. Everybody needs an outstanding pass rush. You got Brian Burns, who's really good. Derek Brown is decent. He's supposed to be able to bust up through the middle. So if you don't go defense, you have to go offensive line if you're the Panthers. Unless you see what Teddy's done this year and are like, it's kind of mediocre. We're sitting at the 6th pick. Trey Lance might be available out of North Dakota State. We might take a shot. We might just blow this whole thing up and restart with a new offense. I don't know. There are so many question marks around what the Panthers can do at 6, and it's really because there are a lot of teams in the NFL right now where they have a quarterback, and he might be suitable to do the job right now. But does he get you over the hump? That's where I'm at with Washington. I like Alex Smith. I know what Alex Smith can do, and I know that he's a game manager, but damn, I don't want a game manager. I want somebody that sees the offense we have, the young components that we have, and says we're going to let it fly, and we're going to try and throw for 350, 400 yards a game, like how Patrick Mahomes does. I know, and a lot of people say not everybody's Patrick Mahomes. I get that. But you need somebody that can break the mold. And that's why, to me, if you're a team right now, and you have a quarterback that you like, he's suitable, but you don't think he's getting you over the hump, you could move on from him for one of these quarterbacks. And like I was just saying before you walked away, I don't know if you heard me, the 6th pick, Trey Lance could still be in play at the quarterback position from North Dakota State. Zach Wilson could. And it's just one of those things where you can like Teddy, and you can keep him for the 3-year deal that you have him on, but are you in love with Teddy? Do you think Teddy gets you over that hump?
Here's my issue with that is too many times, and I don't know the exact number, Hunter, but you can go through every draft. After the first quarterback pick, I'd bet the next 4 never made it as far as stud starting quarterbacks. Just go through the list of the guys in the NFL right now. I mean, how long? Big Ben, Mahomes, Breeze. I'm reading the top records. I'm just going down the record.
Mahomes was the 3rd quarterback taken.
I just hold on a second. Rodgers, Ryan Tannehill, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield. What I mean by it is that a lot of drafts will have 3 to 4 or 5 guys picked in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is only one of them usually actually hit for good. The other 3 to 4 are usually, I mean, we're sitting here a year later, 2 years later, talking about we're going to cut Sam Darnold for the next guy out of college. Like that's insane to me. Same thing with you guys and Haskins.
It's insane to me. I've been saying it for forever because stupid, like I said, Colin has good takes and bad takes. He had to me a horrible take this year. He said the Buffalo Bills are really good. They just have a ceiling. Josh Allen, and I had to immediately tweet at him. I'm like, he's in his 3rd season. He's 4th in the league in passing, 10th in touchdown passes, and 3rd in quarterback rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like let's calm down because he's only 3 years in, and I know exactly what you mean. I feel the same way about these young quarterbacks that get picked and they only get 2 or 3 years.
What you just said a minute ago, Hunter, about do the Jets really want to be picking the 3rd quarterback?
Right.
Is exactly kind of what I was trying to allude to and say to you right there is that.
But I just mean that
same thing with Haskins. Was he what, 3rd or 4th pick in that draft?
Haskins was the third
You
quarterback.
feel comfortable at picking the third best quarterback?
But see that's just by
That high.
preference.
Second round's fine.
But see, that's just by preference because I saw a lot of people that said they thought Dwayne Haskins might have been the best quarterback in the draft. They just had a question on he didn't play a lot in college. He only had one full year of starting in college. So it just can't. It comes down to that and who you think is the best quarterback in the draft. Just like when the Bears, think about it, the Bears drafted Trubisky over Deshaun and Patrick because they thought that was the guy. It just comes down to preference. And so what I mean though is if you're Carolina, you can think about this. You didn't draft Teddy. I know you signed Teddy, but you didn't draft Teddy 2 or 3 years ago. And you've seen Teddy for the past few years. So if you think that Trey Lance is got an opportunity to be better, I mean, why would you not, though? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, drafting quarterbacks is almost like the NBA draft where you have this guy.
Yes.
You have this guy, but the other three, depending on situation, fit.
Because see, that's
coaching,
why
and all that.
I brought up Josh Allen right there was because Josh Allen was the third quarterback taken in his draft. They took Baker and Sam Darnold above him, and he's got better records than both of them
he's
and
doing well.
statistics.
So,
And it just goes back to fit. Just because
Big Ben was in 7 to 10 range. A lot of them were.
Because it'll be like this. Say the trade happens, the Jets trade back to 4, and Dallas would be at 1. Trevor Lawrence would have a lot of success. Why? Because I think Dallas would obviously be a better organization to start out at. Then you look at who would be picked second. Justin Fields. He'd be in damn Jacksonville. I can't guarantee he'll have success for the first 2 years because it's such a shit organization. And then Trey Lance. Say he is picked by the Jets if they don't go any other way. Well, the Jets have been a shit show for the past 3 or 4 years. There's no guarantee he would have success. But Trey Lance in Carolina, with what Matt Rule has got around him, it could be better.
So, as far as Cowboys are concerned, here's their scenarios. Trade the house to move up to get Lawrence.
Yeah.
In which they have the worst defense in the NFL already.
Yeah. Or bolster defense.
Right. Keep Dak Prescott at 30-some million and bolster the defense, or keep Andy Dalton at 10 million and bolster the defense. The best actual logical move of all that is the Andy Dalton move, and then possibly even trading out of 4. If your defense is, again, what the Panthers do this year, they had to pick 7 defenders just to get.
And look, I'll say this. I'll say this.
Just one touchdown.
We always talk about fit. If Zach Wilson or Kyle Trask is on the board still at some point, why would you not? Say one of them falls to the second round. You wouldn't pick a quarterback at maybe the 4th pick in the
Dallas?
second. Yeah, Dallas. If you want to move off Dak and still have Andy Dalton, but you've got one of them sitting there with the weapons you have around him, oh, come on. Now, that's a rookie quarterback's dream. Ask Dak about it his first year.
My biggest problems on the picking is first-round picks are so rare and so valuable that when you miss, if you reach for a quarterback hoping and you miss on him, you're missing on a starter at another position.
Oh, I know.
And that's what's the bad thing. If you take a quarterback in the 3rd round and you miss him, or the 4th round and you miss, you don't really lose anything.
Right.
But if you go up to Washington, would you much not? Well, what if you had another defensive end right now for Chase Young, or a defensive back, or a safety instead of Dwayne Haskins? Wouldn't the team be much better off, or a left tackle right now, or right?
Yeah, we'd probably be better.
You see what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So
we also were put in a weird position with Alex Smith about losing his damn leg.
It's extremely hard to do that. Well, yeah, Alex getting that, but you're actually lucky right now that he did come back, because what would you be doing right now if you didn't?
Well, I'd be fine with us losing.
You'd have is Kyle Allen hurt?
Yeah, he's got an ankle. It's broken. His ankle was broken. He was had surgery on it.
Couple quick news and notes. How about this, Hunter? Looking at the top 14 teams by record in the NFL, only one team has a negative scoring differential. The Cleveland Browns. We're minus 21.
You just get blown out in some of those games.
Yeah. Well, Tennessee beat us by like 75 to start the season. Then after that is a little bit better. But yeah, that was if they'll improve that defense, that'll be their path to success. Let's see. Here's a note on Daniel Jones. Strained hamstring forced him to miss some time, whatever that means. They should know more later in the week. So probably not this week for sure.
Right.
So maybe another team will be ahead of the NFC East by the time we talk next Monday. But that's all I can really give you on that one. Let's see. Nothing else across there. You got any other news and notes or comments on anything that we may have?
No, I do not.
Didn't get to today. Let me make sure I didn't. Cowboys, Trevor. Major League Baseball did make an announcement. Did you see they're starting a developmental wood bat league after getting rid of like 40 minor league teams that they're coming back to do something else.
Right.
That's a Nate. That was a Nate meme. You know that's what they're saying.
What?
Instead of night.
Oh yeah, Nate. Yeah, yeah, I saw that.
Jose Canseco. I didn't get to say that Saturday about his happy Thanksgiving message.
Yeah, I know.
to Morgan. Here's an Albert Pujols stat, Hunter. He has had a base hit off 10% of all pitchers to ever play. Not batted against.
Yeah.
He's had a hit.
Yeah.
Against 10% of all the pitchers who's ever played in Major League Baseball history.
That's decent.
It's not bad, is it?
Nope.
I did see a Bonds one. I don't know the exact number. It said if they played Bonds where every ball that he hit that didn't go out of the park was counted as an out, that his on base OPS would still be over 900. That his home run year.
He's an
counting only home runs and walks.
Yeah,
his on base plus slugging percentage was still over 900.
Shit,
that's silly, isn't it? All right, let's see. Any final thoughts, news and notes, Hunter?
Nope. I'm just happy that we're getting ready to get back into the swing of things with college basketball, and the NBA is about 3 weeks away.
Well, folks, we're going to keep pounding away here on YouTube. We'll put the links on Facebook and Twitter the best we can as long as I'm in Facebook jail. But thanks for tuning in today. And as always, listen on the podcast and then rewatching on Facebook and the replays on YouTube. Wednesday, I think Zach should be here. He hasn't said he won't be, but you never know. We'll do NFL power rankings. Hunter, I've already kind of made them. I just got to make sure they're in the right order this week with the right thing. I've kicked out the NFC East.
I don't blame you.
I'm done with them.
Do it. That's fine.
That shit is over.
It's
I'm
over.
tired of playing
It's
with
over.
that. We'll have that, and then we'll have some more, I guess, news and notes coming up on that. Maybe some NBA action, some more, maybe some NBA stuff by then. But we'll have some fun Wednesday. I guess I got to take these kids home before they go crazy here.
There
All right,
you go.
guys. Thanks for tuning in. KTC Broadcasting live, Shock Joxx on KTC.